my dear students, whenever you need to use the employment testing, it is important to focus on the testing policies. Organizations that conduct employment tests should have written testing policies. Testing policies must be written. My dear students, there is no policy if it is just a verbal. Verbal things cannot be a policy. It must be written on a papers. It must be an official document of the company's file. So if it is written, then it would be a testing policies. And if it is a verbal, then it is not policy at all. So it must be written. The policy should specify the primary objectives of testing. If you don't have a primary objective of testing written in your file, it means you don't have any objective of that test. So the primary objective of the testing need to be written. The organization commitment to compliance with relevant employment laws, which applicants will be tested, who will conduct the test, who will interpret the test results, a description of the testing conditions, and a description of all tests you are currently using. So there are a number of answers which you need to, there are a number of questions which you need to mention, and that include who will conduct the test, who will interpret the test results, what is the description of the testing conditions, what kind of test you are currently using. So if you would mention all of these components in a testing policy document, then it would be good for the company, and whatever the person who will come to conduct the employment testing in the organization, he would follow that testing policy file, and he would not follow the verbal discussion and the verbal comment passed by different individuals within the organization. So it is always need to be written, and these questions need to be mentioned in a sequence with all of the description, with all of the details, so everyone in the organization can go for employment testing rather than waiting for any specific individual who is a decision maker. Everyone concerned with conducting or interpreting tests, everyone in the organization is concerned, because it is very important for making employment decisions. And you know the employment decisions are very important for any particular organization's competitive advantage. So interpreting tests as well as all those involved in any stage of the employment process should become familiar with the policy. So there are a number of people who are involving in the employment process, and if one person knows about some of the policies and another person is not aware of those policies, then there are chances of a conflict. So everyone should be on a one page. Everyone should know about that. What is the employment policy? What is the employment testing policies? And what kind of things we need to follow. And if everyone is not aware of it, then it is better to conduct a joint training workshops in which all the components of the organization's testing program are fully discussed and explained. This is a good idea. Invite each and every person, sit together, discuss, explain all the important and the vital components of employment testing, and consider all of the people on a one page. So when they will start their employment testing procedure, there should not be any confusion among them. So this is very important part, my dear students, which you have to follow as a future employment tester. So the primary objective of testing, a general statement will usually suffice the purpose. For example, as part of a company's commitment to hire qualified individuals to fill available positions, the pre-employment testing may be conducted. A resulting test scores will contribute to making the final selection. So this is a testing policy. It must be written. It must be written in inverted comma. So this is the primary objective of the testing policy, that the primary objective need to be written in this particular form. You can make your own primary objective of your employment test in your organization, depending on your organization strategy, depending on your HR strategy, depending on your selection and recruitment strategy. So the organization commitment to compliance with employment laws is also important. A clear and concise statement will express the company's position. For example, it is again written in inverted commas. It is company's policy to employ qualified individual regardless of race, creed, religion, national origin, sex, age, or disability status. So this statement is about employment laws. This statement is about equal employment opportunities in employment testing. So this statement must be in inverted commas. And when an equally valid means of assessing applicant is known to be available, it will be used if it has less of an adverse impact on groups that are subject to discrimination. We already discussed this component in our previous session, that you have to use those selection procedures which have less adverse impact on groups that are subject to discrimination. So this is a testing policy which need to be mentioned. And there are some other components of a testing policy which we need to be discussed in the further slides.